奉耶稣圣名说话。
In the name of Jesus
首
Christ,
先，
I
我们
speak.
感谢我们天上的真神。
First of all, we give thanks to
让
our
我
God
们
in
弟兄
heaven.
姐妹以及我们的慕道朋友能够来参加今天线上安息日的聚会。
We thank God that our brothers and sisters and our truth-seeking friends are able to gather on the Sabbath day to attend this
我们都
online
知道
service.
今天是神所赐福的日子。
We know that today is the day that is blessed by God.
圣经教导我们说，我们要把我们的心来完全归向神。
The Bible tells us that we have to turn our hearts wholeheartedly to God.
有时感觉到说这一件事情并不是一件非常容易能够做到的事。
And we feel that this is not something that is simple to do.
我们活在世上，总是要为生活上的事情来忙碌。
And in this world, we have to busy ourselves with the daily activities.
有时候这看起来是避免不了的。
We find that this is inevitable in our lives.
但是每逢的安息日，其实就是要提醒我们，我们的心要来完全归向神。
And every Sabbath day serves as a reminder to us that we have to turn our hearts wholeheartedly to God.
这也是给我们一个很好的锻炼。
And this is also a very good training for us.
如果我们能够在这个蒙福的日子，把自己的工作卸下来，
If we are able to rest from our works on this blessed day of God,
能够本着一颗清洁的心来到神的面前，
and we come before God with a clean and pure heart,
以一种虔诚的态度来敬拜他，
and we worship God with a heart of reverence,
那我想说那我们一定会从神那里得到福气。
and I'm sure that we would all receive blessings from God.
那我们就会慢慢的把我们的心转向神，而且我们也懂得怎么去做。
And gradually we will know how to turn our hearts to God, and we will know what we ought to do.
那祈求我们天上的神能够祝福带领我们每一位。
And we pray that our God in heaven will bless and guide each and every one of us.
我们最近都在查考这个摩西五经。
And recently we have been studying the Pentateuch, which is the 5 books of Moses.
那现在在我们的查经里头每周的查经现在已经进入到约书亚记。
And now we've actually progressed to studying the book of Joshua.
所以小弟今天要以拿一个主题来跟各位做分享。
And today I'm going to use the theme, this theme to share with everyone.
就是探子窥探那地。
That is the spies spy out the land.
我们知道在摩西时代，摩西有差派探子去窥探这个迦南地。
We know that during the leadership of Moses, he actually sent out spies to spy out the land of Canaan.
那在约书亚时代也同样有派探子去窥探这地，就是迦南地。
And similarly, during the leadership of Joshua, he also sent out spies to spy out the land as well.
那我们今天要讲的就是以这两组不同的探子来做一个比较。
So what we're going to do today is to draw a comparison between the spies during the time of Moses and the time of Joshua.
当然在摩西时代有10个探子是在神的面前是不忠心的，是不好的。
And during the time of Moses, 10 of the spies were disloyal to God, and they were no good.
那有2个是神所喜悦的， 那就是迦勒和这个约书亚。
But two of the spies were faithful to God and they were good. They were namely Joshua and Caleb.
那后来在约书亚时代，约书亚也派了2个探子。
And during the time of Joshua, he also sent out 2 spies to spy out the land.
那我们发觉到说，在这2个探子的工作当中，并没有出现任何的状况或者不好的事情。
And we find that these 2 spies are sent out by Joshua. They did not commit any errors or sins.
我们知道，在摩西时代，他们在这个何烈山或西乃山停留了大概1年的时间。
During the time of Moses, the Israelites was encamped around Mount Horeb, or also called Mount Sinai, for about a year.
那根据这个生命记呢，他们从这个何烈山到加底斯的这个路程大概有11天这么久。
And we discovered that their journey from Mount Horeb to Kadesh was about 11 days journey.
其实就快要到这个迦南地了，已经在迦南地的边缘了。
In fact, they were on the verge of entering the land of Canaan. They were at the border of the land of Canaan.
那后来我们可以这样说啊，因为这些探子啊，这12个探子当中啊，有10个是报恶讯的。
And we can say, as a result of the spies, 10 of the 12 spies gave a bad report.
那害得这些人不能立时进迦南，要在旷野打转40年。
And because of their bad report, they caused the nation of Israel not to be able to enter the land of Canaan immediately, and they had to trek in the desert for 40 years.
那反过来，当我们看这2个探子在约书亚时代，那他们回来报告之后不久就进入迦南地了。
And on the contrary, the 2 spies that were sent out by Joshua, not long after they came back with the report, the nation of Israel entered the land of Canaan.
好，现在我们就来看这2个时代不同的探子。
So let us look at the difference between the two groups of spies in different eras.
我们先来看这个我们来看生命记。
Let's turn to Deuteronomy.
我们要知道说，在生命记里头，他们是重述历史，就是重提比如说他们出埃及的这个世代这些人所碰到的事情。
We have to understand that Deuteronomy is a retelling of the history that occurred.
当然也是重新再来讲述摩西的律法。
It is also a repetition of the Mosaic law.
好，我们来看这个申命记的第1章。
Let's turn to Deuteronomy chapter 1.
我们来念这个21节。
Verse 21.
21节，我们念到这个念到23节哈。
So read from verse 21 to verse 23.
看啊，耶和华你的神已将那地摆在你面前，你要照耶和华你列祖的神所说的，上去得那地为业，不要惧怕，也不要惊慌。
Verse 21, look, the Lord your God has set the land before you. Go up and possess it, as the Lord God of your fathers has spoken to you. Do not fear or be discouraged.
好，22节。
Verse 22.
你们都就近我来说，我们要先打发人去，为我们窥探那地，将我们上去该走何道，必进何城，都回报我们。
Verse 22, and every one of you came near to me and said, Let us send men before us and let them search out the land for us and bring back word to us of the way by which we should go up and of the cities into which we shall come.
23节，这话我以为美，就从你们中间选了12个人，每支派一个，一人。
Verse 23, the plan pleased me well, so I took 12 of your men, one man from each tribe.
好，那这里呢，摩西在讲这件事情的时候，其实开始神跟他们说要去攻取这地哈，要上这个迦南地去夺取这地。
So initially, before they sent out the spies, God told the nation of Israel that they have to go up and take possession of the land of Canaan.
那当时呢，他们就当中有人有这样的一个意见。
And amongst the people, some of them make this suggestion.
就跑到摩西的跟前来跟摩西说，要派人先去探一探那个地，要什么道，要怎么进去，要进什么城市。
So they made the suggestions that before they enter the land of Canaan, they should send out spies to spy the land so that they know the way and the cities and how they should proceed.
那我想说这件事情，摩西一定是向神求问过的。
And I believe that Moses has asked the Lord about this matter.
所以在民数记的13章里头
Therefore, in Numbers chapter 13,
那神就跟摩西说要派这些探子去。
So the Lord said to Moses to send out men to spy out the land of Canaan.
所以我们可以这样想
So we can think of it in this way.
这个民数记的第13章的第1节呢
Numbers chapter 13 verse 1.
就是神晓谕摩西说，要他打发人去窥探他所赐给以色列人的迦南地。
Here, the Lord instructed Moses to send out spies to spy out the land of Canaan.
所以神，我想说，在这里先跟摩西讲了这件事情。
So it seems that the Lord has already spoken to Moses about this matter.
然后这些人再提出意见。
And then later on, the congregation then also make the suggestion to Moses as well.
所以在申命记的第1章23节才说，摩西认为说这话是美的。
So that is why in Deuteronomy chapter 1 verse 23 that Moses said that this plan pleased me well.
但是我们要知道说，在那个第9章里头，申命记又在提到这一件事情。
But this incident was mentioned once again in Deuteronomy chapter 9.
我们可以来看这个第9章。
You can turn to Deuteronomy chapter 9.
那23节是谈到说从这个加底斯要他们上去得到神所赐给他们的地。
So verse 23 says that the Lord sent you from Kadesh Barnea to go up and possess the land which was given to you.
那时你们违背了耶和华你们神的命令，不信服他，不听从他的话。
Then you rebelled against the commandment of the Lord your God, and you did not believe him nor obey his voice.
这里24节说，自从我认识你们以来，你们常常悖逆耶和华。
Verse 24, you have been rebellious against the Lord from the day that I knew you.
所以从这里我们可以得出一个结论。
From here we can draw a conclusion.
他们所提出来的建议。
So the suggestion that they made to Moses.
对当时的百姓来说，听起来是很有理的，是很对的。
So the suggestion sounds very reasonable and right in the eyes of the people.
但是如果我们把这些章节拼起来看的话，
But if we actually take all these verses together to form a complete picture,
我们就知道说，其实他们这种的建议是没有把神放在眼中的。
In fact, this kind of a suggestion means that they do not consider God at all.
因为在第9章里头说啊，他们一向来都是悖逆神的。
Because Deuteronomy chapter 9 says that you have been rebellious since I knew you.
就是说他们不会相信神的话，悖逆的意思就是说不信从神的话。
A rebellious person means that he does not believe in the words of God.
所以我们发觉到说，虽然看起来他们所提的是很好，
So on the surface, the suggestion seems to be a good one.
但是因为是他们所提的是出于不信的心，或者悖逆的心。
Because the suggestion was born out of a heart of rebelliousness and of unbelief.
所以后来就产生一个很坏的一个后果。
And therefore, this caused a very bad outcome.
如果以这种悖逆的心来去做神的事情，
So things that were accomplished out of the heart of rebelliousness.
当然了，在进行当中，每当碰到问题，一定会归罪于神。
So if you do something out of rebellion against God, any problem that arises as a result of this action, you will put the blame on God.
或者是把责任呢，归于人呢。
Or you will then put the responsibility on man.
那当时我们发觉到说，在民数记里头啊，那神就说好啊，那就允许摩西差派探子去探那地。
So God agreed to the proposal and allowed Moses to send out spies to spy out the land.
他们所选的呢，都是带领的人。
So the people that were chosen were all leaders of their own tribe.
就是做首领的每一族选一个他们的首领。
So every tribe has to choose one representative as a spy who is also one of their leaders.
然后就差派他们到这个迦南去来窥探这地。
And then they were sent out to spy out the land of Canaan.
当然他们去了之后就回来了。
So after they went out on their spying mission, they came back.
那你发觉到说，其实他们在那边待了40天。
So you discovered that they actually stayed there for 40 days.
没有什么问题啊。
They did not encounter any problem at all.
没有被人追踪。
And they were not being tailed or chased by anyone.
或者说有人要抓拿他们呢？没有啊。
Nobody actually attempted to capture them.
而且还砍了这个一串的葡萄回来啊。
They even took out some of the produce and a bunch of cluster of grapes back.
而且要扛回来的。
And it was so big that they had to carry it on their shoulders.
这些都是很显眼的动作啊。
And all these are very noticeable deeds.
但是并没有什么问题啊。
So they did not encounter any problems at all.
那问题是在他们的心。
The problem lies with their hearts.
因为他见到那地的居民很高大。
They found that they discovered that the inhabitants of the land were tall in stature.
而且呢，那边的城墙也是很坚固，很高大的。
And they found that the city walls were very tall and fortified.
因为他们不信靠神。
Because they do not rely on God.
所以当他们见到这些困难的时候，当然就说一些反话。
So and because they do not have any faith in God, therefore when they encounter problems, they will say things that are opposite to the reality.
神跟摩西说，要他们上去，得到这个地为业。
God told Moses that you should go up and capture the land as your possession.
但是他们看到当时的这些人跟城墙之后，他们就说不要去了，没办法打赢这些人了。
But once they see the fortified cities and the tall people there, they actually retreated and said that there's no way that we can defeat these people.
当然，除了约书亚跟迦勒以外，10个回来都是这样说。
So apart from Joshua and Caleb, all the other 10 spies said the same thing.
其实他们所看见的问题，就显明他内心的那个问题的所在。
So the problems that they saw actually exposes the real problem within their hearts.
所以当他们回来做报告的时候，
So when they came back and made a report,
虽然表面上是在报告说当时的这个地的情形是怎么样，
even though superficially they were making a report of what the land was like.
其实借着这一件事情呢，他们内心的不幸呢，不断的在被显露了。
But through their report, we can see that their unbelief in their hearts is being manifested through their
其
report.
实，在神的教会里头，
But actually, in the Church of God,
我们的心是怎么样，神有办法把它显露出来的。
in fact, God is able to expose the real nature of our hearts
如
before
果我们
everyone
是
else.
不信的话，
So if you are a person who has no faith in God,
不信神的话，不信神的教会，
you do not believe in the words of God, you do not believe in the Church of God,
神会借着所发生的事情，把我们的不信显露出来。
and God will, through the things that has happened or any events or incidents, to expose the nature of our heart.
所以我们在神的面前要检讨自己的心。
And therefore, we have to examine ourselves before God,
尤其我们是带领的人更是如此。
especially if we are in the leadership role.
那我们对神有信心吗？
Do we have faith in God?
我们真是相信他的话吗？
Do we truly believe in the words of God?
那如果真的相信，一定会在我们的工作中表现出来的。
If we truly believe in the words of God, this will be manifested in our service or our work for God.
那我想说，有时候我们在教会里头也看到自己的不足的地方。
And many a times in the church, we are able to see our own inadequacies.
借着我们自己所说的话，就显露我们内心到底相信不相信神。
So through the words that we speak, we will show to others whether we truly believe in God or not.
那因为他们不信，当然就看到大问题了。
Because they do not believe, therefore, they will meet with insurmountable problems.
好，现在我们来做一个对比。
Now we're going to make a comparison.
我们先来看这个约书亚记。
Let's turn to the book of Joshua.
我们知道说约书亚记的第2章是这个约书亚差派2个探子去窥探那地，还有耶利哥。
So Joshua chapter 2, Joshua sent out 2 spies to spy out the land as well as the city of Jericho.
就是第1节我们可以看到的。
Verse 1, we can see this.
那在之前呢，这个约书亚第1章里头，约书亚跟他们说话。
So before that, in Joshua chapter 1, Joshua spoke to the congregation.
那讲了之后，他们就有一个回应。
So after he's spoken to them, there was a response from the congregation.
我们先来看这个1章的17节跟18节。
Let's read Joshua chapter 1, verse 17 and 18.
我们从前在一切事上怎样听从摩西，现在也必照样听从你。惟愿耶和华你的神与你同在，像与摩西同在一样。
Verse 17, just as we heeded Moses in all things, so we will heed you. Only the Lord your God be with you as he was with Moses.
18节，无论什么人违背你的命令，不听从你所吩咐他的一切话，就必治死他。你只要刚强壮胆。
Verse 18, whoever rebels against your command and does not heed your words, in all that you command him shall be put to death. Only be strong and of good courage.
然后第2章呢，这个约书亚就暗地里打发了2个探子去窥探那地。
In chapter 2, then Joshua secretly sent out the 2 spies to spy out the land.
那我们发现到说，这两个探子跟摩西时代的那10个探子的那个思想、那个心态是完全不一样的。
And we discovered that these 2 spies sent out by Joshua's was a very different, very different breed compared with the 10 spies sent out by Moses, and their way of thinking was very different.
因为从第1章他们已经下定决心了，要来听从约书亚的话，就是神的话。
So in chapter 1, they have already made the determination to hearken to the words of Joshua, which are the words of God.
所以当他们去窥探这地的时候，我们说这一项工作是出于信心的。
So we can see that when these 2 spies went out to spy out the land, their work was done out of faith.
我们在教会里头，我们都在服侍神呢。
In the church, we are all serving God.
很多圣工我们都在做。
We may be undertaking many types of divine work.
很多时候，我们所做的圣工都几乎是相似的。
And many a times, the divine work that we do may be identical or similar.
但是在神的眼中，我们所做的圣工是他所喜悦，是他所接纳的吗？
But the question we have to ask ourselves, are the works that we have done in the church acceptable and pleasing to God?
如果我们所做的是出于一个顺服的心来去做，
Now, if we do it out of a heart of submission,
当然了，我们所做的工，神一定会接纳。
then everything that we do with a heart of submissiveness will be accepted by God.
反过来说，虽然我们做的圣工跟其他人是相似的，但是是出于不信的心，当然会被神拒绝。
Conversely, if we do divine work that is identical to other workers, but it is not done out of faith, then it will be rejected by God.
那有一个问题我们要问呢。
So we have to ask ourselves this question.
这2个探子他们进到迦南地的时候，他们有没有见到这个40年前这10个探子所看见的问题呢？
So did the 2 spies saw the same problems that were seen by the 10 spies 40 years ago?
那我们知道说，在这个约书亚记它没有记载很多。
We know that Joshua did not give a detailed account.
但是那个同样的问题还是在的。
But the same problem is still exists.
那从第2章我们知道说，那个城墙还是非常的坚固。
So from chapter 2, we can see that the city walls are still strong and fortified.
而且大到什么程度呢？
And how big was the city wall?
当时的这个拉赫是住在上面的，跟他家人。
And Rahab was actually living in the city wall.
好，我们来看这个第2章约书亚记2章的15节。
Joshua chapter 2 verse 15.
约书亚记2章15节。
Joshua chapter 2 verse 15.
于是女人用绳子将2人从窗户里垂下去，因他的房子是在城墙边上，他也住在城墙上。
Verse 15, then she let them down by a rope through the window, for a house was on the city wall. She dwelt on the wall.
但问题没有改变呢，还是在。
So the problem still remains the same as 40 years ago.
那你说40年前他们所看到的巨人呢？不可能40年后就消失了，除非这个地方被占领了。
So the giants that they saw 40 years ago would not have disappeared for no reason unless they were this place have been captured by another group.
但是没有，圣经没有这样的记载。
But there was no such record in the Bible.
所以你发觉到他们回来这些东西，他们整个过程他们都讲，但是重点不是放在这个外在的问题了。
So the spies made the reports like before, but the emphasis is not on the problems that they are going to encounter.
因为他们信靠神
because they actually believe in God.
所以那时候你发觉到说，神在带领这两个探子啊。
So we can see that God actually guided the two spies.
那我们说他们到这个耶利哥就进到这个拉赫这个妓女的家。
So we see that these two spies, when they went into the city of Jericho, they went to the house of Rahab.
那其实是神的带领的，神在带领。
In fact, this is the guidance of God.
那我们怎么知道呢？
How do we know?
因为当这两个探子跟拉赫见面的时候，这个拉赫就把当时的这些居民的这种心情呢，告诉了这两个探子。
Because when the two spies met with Rahab, Rahab actually told the two spies the real feelings of the people of the city.
那重点就是说，这地的居民啊，他们的心都消化了。
The main point is that the hearts of the inhabitants have melted.
理由在哪里？
What is the reason?
就是听见那个出埃及的这件事情。
Because they heard about how the Israelites left Egypt.
然后过红海这一件事。
And the incident by which they crossed the Red Sea.
而且再把约旦河东的两个王毁灭掉。
And they have also destroyed the two kings on the eastern side of the River Jordan.
他们心就消化了。
And when they heard about these things, their hearts melted.
出埃及过红海是40年前的事情了。
Actually, coming out of the land of Egypt and crossing the Red Sea happened 40 years ago.
但是摩西时代的这些探子，10个探子当中，却看不到这个神的作为啊。
But this 10 spies during the time of Moses was not able to see the great work of God.
他们察觉不到说，当时的这些居民，他们的心都融化掉了。
And they did not discover the fact that the inhabitants were hearts have melted.
那我们可以这样做一个结论。
So we can draw this conclusion.
这两个探子能够察觉到。
These two spies were able to discover this.
因为他们相信。
Because they have faith in God.
神开路啊，让他们看见。
God opened a way for them so that they can see the real situation.
当时的约书亚跟迦勒也是这样说啊，神有能力来战败这些人。
Because 40 years ago, both Joshua and Caleb said the same thing, that God is able to help us defeat these people.
但是他们就听不下去，听不进去。
But the Israelites were not able to accept the viewpoint of Joshua and Caleb.
因为他们相信神，顺服神，所以神就一一的开路给他们。
Because they actually believe in God and they submitted themselves to God, that is why God opened a way for them.
甚至当时他们是他的环境很不好的，很恶劣，因为有人在追踪他们呢。
In fact, they were in a very dangerous situation because the inhabitants were out to capture these two spies.
但是神还是让他们逃脱了，就是。
But God helped them escape.
因为他们所做的工是出于信心的。
Because the work that they have done is born out of faith.
所以神让他们看见当时的这些百姓的心情是怎么样。
So God allowed these two spies to see how the people were actually feeling.
所以这个是很重要的一点啊。
This is a very important point.
好，我们看第2章的最后一节。
We look at chapter 2, the last verse.
他们回去之后，他们这样说。
So when they went back, they said to Joshua.
又对约书亚说：“耶和华果然将全地交在我们手中，那地的一切居民在我们面前，心都消化了。”
Verse 24, and they said to Joshua, truly the Lord has delivered all the land into our hands, for indeed all the inhabitants of the country are faint-hearted because of us.
他们讲这些话就表示不单只是神在开路，其实就在述说神的大能。
So when they said these words, it not only pointed to the fact that God is leading the way, but they are actually proclaiming the great works of God.
我们在做圣工的时候，要把神的大能述说出来
So when we are doing the work of God, we have to proclaim the greatness of God.
要把这种人的信心挑起来
And we have to say words to stir up the faith of the people.
如果我们是不信神的
So if we are one of those who do not believe in God,
那圣经的话很清楚，他很清楚告诉我们什么需要做，什么不需要做。
in fact, the Bible is very clear on what we should do and what we ought not to do.
怎么带领教会都讲得很清楚。
And the Bible gives us clear instructions of how we are to lead the church.
因为我们自己的不信，所以我们常常以人的意识来代替了神的意识。
And because of our unbelief, many a times we will replace the will of God with human will.
所以在做教导，在教会，在做指导的工作的时候，都是没有信心的话。
And even when we are doing the work of teaching or instructing or guiding, we are saying words that shows that we have no faith.
所以这里其实给我们一个很大的提醒。
So this is a very big reminder to all of us.
就是说我们在神的家要讲信心的话。
That is, in the household of God, we have to say words of faith.
好，我们再看回这个摩西的那个时代的10个探子。
Now we look back to the spies during the time of Moses.
我们就是说他们后来就给了一个恶的报告嘛，
because the Bible records that they gave a bad report to the people.
那就他们其实在讲的时候，他们是讲事实啊，他们是说，这个地的情形的确是这样。
So we see that when they were making a report, they were stating the facts.
但是呢，他们没有信心来相信神的话。
But they have no faith to believe in the words of God.
神说你要进去就能够得到这个地了。
God said that if you go in, you will be able to take possession of the land.
但是他们看到问题太大了。
But what they see is insurmountable problems.
就把神的吩咐放一边。
So they put the promises and the instructions of God aside.
就说不要去了。
Let's not go.
那后来怎么样？
So what happened to the end? In the end?
那后来就造成了全体来反对摩西。
And what they caused was the whole congregation rebelled against Moses.
所以他们的话害了很多人。
So the words spoken by these 10 spies actually caused great harm to the people.
那我们在念申命记的时候
So when we read the book of Deuteronomy,
那这些人呢就哭泣了，就埋怨摩西说神把他们带出来是要杀害他们的妻子跟子女的。
So they started to weep and cry before Moses and said that God had brought them out to kill their wives and their little ones and the children.
当时这个约书亚跟迦勒没办法控制他们。
So we see that Joshua and Caleb were lost control of the situation.
真的是没办法。
And there's no way they could say anything to guide them.
因为他们不信，后来你看到他们的行为都变恶了。
Because they do not have, because of their unbelief, their actions became wicked.
他们要把这个迦勒跟约书亚用石头来打死他们。
First of all, they wanted to stone Joshua and Caleb.
那这个是很不正常的事情呢。
This is a very abnormal thing.
因为约书亚跟迦勒所讲的是神的旨意，他们也知道的。
And what Joshua and Caleb said was the will of God, and they all know about this.
但是他们却想用石头把他们打死。
Yet they wanted to stone Joshua and Caleb to death.
那不单只是这样。
Not only that.
那我们发觉到说，他们所讲的话都有后果，很严重的后果。
We see that all the words they spoke have consequences, dire consequences instead.
你在念这个申命记的时候，你发觉到说，这20岁以上的这些人都死在旷野。
So if you read Deuteronomy, you found out that at the time of the report by the spies, anyone who is at the age of 20 and above, they all died in the wilderness.
那还除了这个加勒跟那个约书亚之外呢，
apart from Joshua and Caleb.
那后来呢，你发现到说神立刻把这10个探子处死
And God immediately executed this 10 spies.
所以的确是有一个很严重的后果
So there was a very serious consequence.
我们在教会里头，我们在做带领的工作，
So in the church, if we are in the role of a leader, of being a leader,
我们的话我们要非常的谨慎，
we have to be very cautious about our words.
我们讲的话到底是不是神要我们讲的，是不是神的原则？
So we have to ask ourselves: the words that we speak, are they the words of God? Do
不
they?
是说讲了就没事情了。
Do not think that your words have no consequences.
我们觉得说，讲了就消失了嘛，
So we think that once it's spoken, it will disappear into the ether.
也没有录音呢，也没有听了就算了吧。
And if there's no recording, then people will just forget about it
圣
after
经
they
告
heard.
诉我们说，就是我们平时所讲的话，到主耶稣来的时候都要交账的。
But in fact, even our daily conversations, the words that we speak on a daily basis, every word we will be held accountable when Jesus comes to judge us.
更何况在教会里头做带领的时候所讲的话，更是如此。
What more to say? The words that we speak in the position of being a leader in the church.
所以我们在教会里头要讲信心的话。
Therefore, in the church, we have to speak words of faith.
我们常常说这是我的看法，
And we often say that this is my viewpoint.
但是我们的看法有没有违反神的旨意？
But does our view actually oppose the will of God?
我讲的话可能大家都接纳，
Maybe the words that I speak is accepted by everyone.
但是这是不是神的原则呢？
But is this the principle of God?
这是很重要的。
This is a very important matter.
尤其是在做这种教导的工作有时候我们话讲的不对，使到信徒甚至教会都失去信心。
So especially if we are in the role of teaching, the words that we speak, if they are wrong and they are not out of faith, it will actually affect the whole church.
那甚至会让人的信心败坏掉。
It might even destroy the faith of the people.
那我们再看这个约书亚时代的2个探子，
And we see the 2 spies during the time of Joshua.
他们回来之后，
So when they came back,
把事情告诉了约书亚。
so they made a report to Joshua.
那我们进入到这个第6章的时候，他们整个这个神的子民呢，都在听约书亚的吩咐。
In Joshua chapter 6, the whole nation of Israel was listening to the words of Joshua.
就是说，真的把这些人呢，完全带到神的面前，而且让他们能够相信神的话。
So they were able to bring all the Israelites before God, and they were able to cause the Israelites to believe in the words of God.
所以在围攻这耶利哥城的时候都不作声了，第7天才出声。
So as they were besieging the city of Jericho, and when they were marching around the city, they all kept quiet until the last day.
那就是说，这些人都完全顺从神的旨意了。
We can see that all these people were totally obedient to the will of God.
好，那这里也让我们发现到一件事情。
Here we discover something.
我们说摩西时代的10个探子害死人，害死很多人。
We say that the 10 spies during the time of Moses actually caused the death of many people.
但是这个2个探子在危险当中危难的时候还能够救人。
But the words of these 2 spies, even though they were faced with dangers, these words were able to save.
就是救了这个拉赫跟他一家人呢。
In fact, the promises made by the 2 spies saved Rahab and her family.
当然回去之后，因为他们只告诉约书亚这些事情，
because when they went back, they made the report only to Joshua.
然后就照着约书亚的吩咐去做，
And they went and then did according to the instructions of
所以
Joshua.
就没有出现什么的状况了。
That is why there were no problems that arose out of this spying mission.
那有一节圣经我要大家特别来看的，那我们来做一个结论。
Now we're going to read a verse to draw a conclusion.
我们看这个民数记的13章，
Let's turn to Numbers chapter 13.
我们看民数记的13章，
Numbers chapter 13.
我们来念这个16节。
verse 16.
民数记13章16节，
Numbers chapter 13, verse 16.
这就是摩西所打发窥探那地之人的名字。摩西就称嫩的儿子何西阿为约书亚。
Verse 16, and these are the names of the men whom Moses sent out to spy out the land, and Moses called Hosea the son of Nun, Joshua.
那在这里为什么有这样的一个特别的记载呢？
Why was there a special record here in this verse?
因为在出埃及记其实已经谈到约书亚这个名字了。
Because even in the Exodus, the name Joshua was already mentioned.
但是在这里呢，这个摩西特别的声明。
But here, Moses made a special announcement.
那这个何西阿的意思就是期盼神的救恩。
So the name Hosea means to hope in the salvation of God.
那约书亚的意思呢，就是主就是救恩。
The name Joshua means the Lord is salvation.
好，那就是说他们这些出埃及的人，
So it means that those people who came out of Egypt,
如果真正的想得到这个救恩，
if they truly wanted to receive this salvation,
就是进入到迦南地，
in other words, to enter into the land of Canaan,
他们的焦点要放在主的身上了，
they have to put their focus on God,
因为主才是真正的救恩啊。
because only God is their true savior.
就好像今天我们要想到天国去，
Just like today, if we want to go to the kingdom of heaven,
我们现在的焦点要放在主耶稣的身上和他所讲的话。
we have to put our focus on Jesus himself and on the words spoken by Jesus.
要决心的来相信，这样我们才能够最终进入到这个永远的安息。
We must be determined to believe the words of God so that in the end we are able to enter into the eternal rest.
不然的话，我们真的会好像这个10个探子一样，
Otherwise, we will all be like these 10 spies,
因为我们的焦点没有放在耶稣的身上。
because we do not put Jesus at the center of our attention.
教会有什么事情就凭着自己的方法来去处理。
So when the situation arises in the church, we will try to solve the problem with our own methods.
最后呢，导致很多人信心都消失掉。
As a result of this, we cause the loss of faith in many members.
所以这个希伯来书这样说
Therefore, the book of Hebrews tells us,
他们不能够进入安息，是因为不信的缘故啊。
and the reason why these people were unable to enter into the rest was because of their unbelief.
其实在这个生命记里头也有这样的记载。
In fact, Deuteronomy also makes a similar record.
32章里头说这是不信的世代。
And in Deuteronomy chapter 33, it says that this is a generation of unbelief.
所以他们的行为各方面都败坏掉了。
That is why in their conducts, in their deeds, and their words, they were all corrupted.
所以祈求神带领帮助我们。
We ask the Lord to guide us and help us.
让我们能够学习那些好的探子，
so that we can learn from the example of these good spies.
最终能够让这个教会的这个弟兄姐妹的信心都刚强起来，
So that we will enable the faith of the members to be strengthened.
最后能够进入到神这个永远的国度。
So that we are all able to enter into the eternal kingdom of God.
感谢主，我们正道到此。
Thank God, my sermon ends here.
我们现在来唱一首